Anytime.
Are we
ガム
rolling?
気をつけてね、ガム。ガム。
Oh,
ちょっと出そう。
everybody chew their gum softly.
携帯のスイッチ切ってて。
Okay, and cell phones are off. Yes.
Oh, how about, did someone disconnect the phone over there?
If that's all right with you to do that while we interview, that would certainly make things go.
Yeah,
quicker.
because the phone will be ringing.
Okay. Can you disconnect it? That helps. This way you don't have to repeat.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
so
Matt did that.
Okay.
それで。サーバタージ。
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the only fax machine here?
No, that's not connected.
Oh, okay. Okay. Don't want to cut off your lifeline.
No, there's a fax outside.
Anytime.
All right, we're rolling.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
The first question is, what does EDG do? And in your answer, if you could include something about the CAD system as well as the touch panel system as we spoke of.
Okay. Great. Well, our firm, Electronics Design Group, is a technology company. So the focus of our business is audio-video systems, lighting control, home theater, and other types of integrated home systems. The focus of our work really is the design and engineering of systems. We have an AutoCAD department that does system drawings for the projects that we do, a programming department that writes custom software for what we call the user interface of the system, which is typically a touch panel.
Okay, great. 1 second. 目をそらしたりするの多かったかな。
ちょっと多いですね。今。
Do you need me to elaborate? I don't know what kind of
Actually,
time.
that was the length was good. Everything was good about that,
Okay.
except if I can ask you to pretty much keep your eyes focused
Sure.
on me. I don't know if it would help you more, like if I'm not looking directly at you while you're doing that.
No, it's
Okay,
fine.
but if
Where am I looking? I'm looking somewhere else.
well, you're kind of looking down
Oh, am I?
and then up, so
Oh, okay.
which is the natural way to talk. But
Okay.
on camera, it looks better if you're pretty much looking at.
Not a
things.
problem.
All right, so let's try that again. Are we
Okay.
rolling?
Yep.
Okay. So take 2.
And I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Our company is Electronics Design Group, so I know, that we can use the acronym EDG, but I don't know if that's going to confuse things or.
Well, it'll appear in a subtitle, so
Okay.
Maybe it would also help if you say our company EDG Electronics Design Group, and then
Okay.
after that you can consistently refer to it as
Okay.
EDG.
Sure.
So we'll try that again.
Okay.
What does EDG do? And again, if you could include in your answer about the CAD system and also the touch panel system.
Okay. Our firm, EDG, Electronics Design Group, we are a technology company. The focus of our business is audio-video systems, integrated systems, lighting control, and home theater. The focus of our business stems from engineering. We have an AutoCAD department that does full system engineering and design of our projects, and a programming department that does software, customized software, I should say, for touch panels that operate the systems that we design.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. What is distinctive about EDG's approach to home theater, and what makes somebody come to EDG as opposed to going somewhere else? What makes EDG better?
Okay. At EDG, the difference that we provide to our clientele is our design and engineering excellence. What we focus on when we meet a client is not necessarily equipment at first, but the actual room design, the engineering of the system, how the system is going to work. We really look at what we call the user interface. We want to design the system that the client can actually use the technology. We also take into consideration the acoustics of the space and how to properly design the space for sight lines for seating if we're going to have multiple rows of seating, coordination with other contractors like millwork contractors, electrical contractors, the project architect, and we can communicate to those contractors in a professional way due to our engineering ability.
Okay, great. And in terms of this wasn't one of the questions on the list. But in terms of the things that you just talked about, like the arrangement of the seating and stuff like that, is that all stuff that primarily relates to the audio experience, or are you talking about from a complete in terms of comfort and in terms of the whole visual experience as well?
It's really more from a visual experience. The sight lines of a room are very important because you have to be able to see from other rows. So if you have rows, 2 rows back to back, or maybe even 3 rows, each row has to be a certain height, and that also depends on the type of seating that's used in order to have the proper sight line to the actual viewing screen.
Okay. The next question is, what kind of customers come to EDG?
The typical clientele at EDG is a wealthy, upscale client, the type of client that usually relies on other types of professionals and consultants in their lives. It's a type of client that would normally hire an architect or an interior designer and other professional consultants, money managers, etc. Our clients typically don't know a lot about the technology, and they seek companies that can guide them to help develop the technology for their homes. That's our typical client.
How are we doing? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you actually leave? Move forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah, that might be better.
Okay.
Okay. Moving along, and this is sort of in the same vein, what kind of service does EDG provide to its customers?
Okay. The types of services that EDG provides to its clients is first off on a consulting level. When we meet a client for a project, we're typically first talking about the basic parameters, getting an understanding of their project. In some cases, clients will retain us simply for design and engineering work. And at that point, we're going to work with the client and the project professional, whether it will be the project architect or the interior designer, to help develop the space. Usually we're starting out with an empty space, and we need to make that space work for what the client is looking to do. And that will involve the engineering of the system, placement of loudspeakers, placement of the video projection system, placement of the components. There's usually electrical requirements involved, lighting requirements, and we're all part of that at the very beginning of a project. So that's really the first step when we meet a client, is to develop what we call the infrastructure of the project. The other types of services that we provide our clients would then be the actual, what we call design build of the systems, where we'll propose the actual technology that's going to go into the project and the cost to actually implement that work.
Okay, great. I'm going to change the order of the question here just because I think it would be good for continuity, especially now that we're talking about what it is that EDG does. What is EDG's relationship to Theo Kalomirakis, if you could also use his name in the
Sure.
answer? Could you describe maybe a project that you're working on with him, in this case, the L'Esquire Theater?
Mm-hmm. Okay, how do you want me to start off by talking about Theo, or?
You could say that
Talk about how I got involved, because the way that Theo Kalomirakis and I got involved in the how are you pronouncing it? L'Esquire?
L'Esquire. Yeah.
L'Esquire.
I actually found out. I spoke to Mr. L'Esquire this morning, and
Okay.
I said, I have been butchering your name for the last week.
We
What's
are.
the correct pronunciation? And he said,
L'Esquire.
he said if you were to spell it phonetically, it would be Lesqua.
Okay.
And so
L'Esquire.
yes, that I think is the definitive answer.
Okay, because the way that we got Theo involved in that project based on when I met with Mr. L'Esquire, there was a lot of design elements that had to go into the job, and he wasn't working with anybody, and then that's why I brought Theo into the project. So is that what you want me to elaborate on, or?
Yes, probably in a more general sense, though.
そういうことどういうこと何を何やってるの
ちょっと説明してもらえますか？
今言ったこ
うん。
とは、どういうふうに、さっき言ってたのはどうやって会ったかとかを聞いたり
あ、いやいやいや、それは今いいです。
そういうの
それはいいです。
あ
彼が迷ってることを聞き、何が迷ってるのかなっていう思っただけ。
そのデザインプロジェクトに手を引っ張ってきたいきさつですよね。
でその話はいらないというふうに今話そうとしてるから、ただそのテオさんとの関係はどういう関係なのかという順番は変えたんですけど、その理由はいいですか？
流れがいい方で。
Sorry about that. So again, I think we're not as interested in how it developed on this project as much as it is where does EDG fit in on a project with Theo Kalomirakis.
Okay.
So why don't we start with that, like EDG works with Theo Kalomirakis in this aspect.
Okay.
Let's start with that one.
Okay. All right. We work with various types of project architects and or designers, and one of the people we work with is Theo Kalomirakis. And we bring Theo into particular projects when we work with a client that may not already be working with someone who specializes in the design aspects of a movie theater. And Theo also brings our company into his projects when the client doesn't have a technology consultant. So we have a relationship, and we both provide different services to the client. EDG on the technology end and Theo Kalomirakis on the design end of the room as far as the look, the feel, the space, etc. And it's an excellent relationship because it allows us to bring in a professional like Theo when we meet a client on a new project that isn't already working with someone who specializes in the design of a movie theater space.
Okay, excellent. That was really the exact kind of answer we were looking for. So maybe from there, if you could comment on EDG's participation in the L'Espoir Theater and what EDG is doing there as a complement to what Theo Kalomirakis is doing there.
Okay. All right. On the L'Espoir Theater, our company is providing the home theater technology. We've designed a system. Can we cut for a second?
Sure.
I lost my train of thought. How do you want me to how do you want me to bring this in?
Okay, if you could tie it in with the way you started was excellent. On the L'Espoir Theater, we worked in tandem with Theo Kalomirakis. They provided the architectural basis for the whole project, and we provided the technological know-how. And then you could go in, and then some of the features that we installed into maybe some of the unique aspects of that theater, and then I understand what little I know that the synthesis system is supposed to be an incredible system. Maybe if you could go into that.
Okay, yeah. So can I talk about it? Can I bring up any something like synthesis, or mention that the Sony video projector? Or?
そういう新設室の名前とか出していいですか？
いいです。逆にそれをプリンストンに行った時にオフナレで使いますから。でテオの話はこの話と分けた方がいいんで、プリンストンに関することはプリンストンに集中して、サウンドシステムとか話してもらった方がいいです。はい。
Okay, so actually we can break it up. The part about Theo Kalomirakis, break that up separately from the L'Espoir Theater. Maybe first talk about this is what we did with Theo Kalomirakis at the L'Espoir Theater.
Okay.
We'll end there, and then you can start with another sentence at the L'Espoir Theater, and I'll prompt you for that. At the L'Espoir Theater, some of the features that we implemented are. So that we'll do that second, but first talk about what EDG provided in the project as opposed to what Theo Kalomirakis did.
Okay.
So what was the relationship between Theo Kalomirakis and EDG on the L'Espoir project?
On the L'Espoir project, we coordinated with Theo Kalomirakis' group to provide all the specifications that Theo needed to design the space. So typically what we're providing at the very beginning phase of a project for Theo is our dimensions of loudspeakers, placement of the loudspeakers, the placement of the video projection system, size of the screen. These are all the elements in the initial beginnings that Theo will need to work around in the space. Our requirements for electrical for the system, placement of any types of specialty jacks, touch panel that controls the system. These are all the main core elements that Theo will then take to start designing the space.
Okay, great. And then the next question is, what are some of the unique features that EDG implemented at the Lesquois Theater? And if you could start with at the Lesquois Theater.
Okay. At the Lesquois Theater, the sound system we incorporated is from JBL. It's a product line called Synthesis. Synthesis is a system that's designed for both film and music. And the Synthesis system utilizes all the latest technology like DTS, Dolby AC3, as well as Dolby Pro Logic and THX. This system is calibrated in a very unique fashion. There is a PC program that allows us to calibrate the system via microphones. And we set up the microphones throughout the listening space, and the PC program is running various test tones for us to measure and monitor the system. So we can precisely tune the system to the room accurately, and then set that into memory, and it's preset for the listening position. The system allows for both playback of film and music in a unique way. There's horns for the video playback to allow a throw of the projection of the sound through the room. The system switches the horns off and uses conventional tweeters, which are used for more near-field monitoring and listening to music. The Synthesis system is used in many of the film studios for post-production work.
Okay, great.
Do you want me to talk about any of the video technology, or?
Sure. Why don't we do that? Yes, let's do that. And then that one you could start with some of the video technology we used at the Lesquois Theater.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that. So, can you tell me anything about the video technology at the Lesquois Theater?
The video technology we used at the Lesquois Theater centered around a Sony graphics grade video projection system. The video projector is being used to display DVD, video, DSS, as well as cable TV and standard VHS. We also incorporated a product from Ferrugia called a line quadrupler to enhance the video image. The projector is set up to do multiple aspect ratios, so we're able to present the image in a 16:9 format for viewing DVD, as well as a standard 4:3 format for when we're viewing standard video sources like cable television or VHS tapes.
Great. Okay, now if we can turn to a more personal note and tell us a little bit about yourself, what your personal background is, what you did before you came to EDG, and what you've done in your time at EDG.
Okay. Prior to starting EDG, I worked for NEC Electronics. That was my first job out of college. My position there was a regional sales trainer. My function essentially was to train the retailers that sold NEC product on the actual product technology, the features, the functions. I used to do product comparisons, comparing NEC product to other manufacturers' products, and some general seminars on technology. At that time, Dolby was coming out with a surround sound system, so we would educate the retailers on what surround sound is and how to implement it into their projects that they're going to sell. That's it.
Okay, great. And how about in the time that you've been with EDG? Is there anything you can tell us about what your personal career history at EDG is?
When I started EDG, it was essentially a one-man operation. So I was involved in the installation of the systems, and at that time the systems were much different than the type of technology we're doing today. It was much more low-tech. So I was doing the installation, sales, and running the day-to-day business. Soon after, my partner Ed Condoracci came on board and and he handled the technology end of the business and more so of the actual field work. And I was left to run more of the day-to-day business operations. And as we grew, we were able to add staff, engineers and programmers, office staff. So my function today with the company is sales, marketing, and I still handle a lot of the day-to-day business functions here.
Okay, great. Last question I have, actually that may not be the last, is what do you see for the future of home theater?
To me, the future of home theater is in interactivity, video games, internet access. Many of the projects that we're starting to do, clients are asking to not just use the video system for movie and film playback, but to play video games with their children, whether it's a PC game or like a Sony PlayStation type of game, or internet connectivity. A lot of our clients are asking for a connection so they can bring their laptop home, plug in and do work on their actual, on their large screen, or even just surf the net for fun.
Great plug. 他に聞きたいことは何かありますか？
サウンドチェックで何やるかとかっていうことはなんか
プリンストンのサウンドチェックで何をやるかとかっていう。
どういうチェックっていうのはどういうことをするのかな。
さっきの中で、さっきの説明の中で出てきたんですけど、ただそれはプリンストンでやってるということじゃなくて、それはその全てのサービスの中で、それが一つのサービスを提供しているというふうに言ってたんですけど、
ごめん、そしたらプリンストンについてのことって今どういう答えなんでしたっけ？
そこら辺ちょっとバックして、
そこをバックしてもらった方がいいですね。
あとレスクラートでサウンドチェックがあるっていうことをなんか口にしてたりする。
してそうですね。それはもらいたかったんで、そこはどういうふうに言ってますか今？
今それは直接言ったのはテオさんとの働いてることを言ってて何をしたかです。
ちょっともう一回そこに戻りましょう。もう一回聞きます。
はい。お願いします。
Okay. Lastly, I would like to re-ask you the question again of what are some of the things that you're doing with the audio system at the Lesquois Theater? If you could, in the answer, include about the calibration system. You did cover that before, but I think that was in another part of your answer, and we just want to get the words Lesquois and calibration in sort of the same breath. So I'll ask you again, what can you tell us that's new and interesting that's happening at the Lesquois Theater?
At the Lesquois Theater, one of the newest technologies is a digital equalization system that's incorporated in the JBL synthesis system. What this digital equalization system allows us to do is to fine-tune the calibration to the actual physical room and listening position. And what this involves is a series of tests that we run on a PC. It's a software program. We set up microphones in the room, particularly centered around the main seating positions in the room. We run various test tones and then measure and monitor each one of these test tones. It then allows us to fine-tune each frequency within the system. This process usually takes about 3 to 4 hours of actual testing, and then we want to use real material like DVD and DSS and play back film and actually listen to what we're hearing in terms of the response that the computer has given us.
Okay, great. 他に何かありますか？
今のはどういうことだったんですか？
どういう感じだったの？
お願いします。
一番今新しいデジタルイクアライゼーションシステム
を使ってると。
使っていて、その3、4時間かけて部屋にマイクとかをセットしてチェックをテストは3、4時間かけて、あと
最初はトーンでやるって言ってたですね。トーンを出してい
そのスピーカーの中からいろんなトーンを出すようになってた。
彼女の話聞きましょう。
それがコラボレーションですよね。のトーンをチェック。
大体のそのサウンドチェックの工程を言っていたって感じですね。でそこの言葉をにチェックしてるの その言葉を受けて取材するって感じですね。
今ちょうどプリンストンが出来上がりつつあるっていうようなニュアンスのコメントをいただけてるんです。
その
それいただけてる。
っていうか、たった今じゃなくて、今、プリンストンで、こういうテクノロジーを使ってますと。You know what? I'm sorry. Can I ask you to I mean the wording and everything was perfect
Right.
With that. If I can ask you to answer the same question one more time,
Okay.
and using the words, and I'm sorry to be actually feeding you
No problem.
words, but if you can use the words, one of the things that we're doing right now at the Lesqua Theater is a process called, and if you could just run through the whole thing again.
About to finish. About to finish ってことだね。
About to finish, yeah. We're one of the things that we're working on, and wait a second. All right, let me back up a second. When we get there, the theater, since it'll be just about finished, part of the story we're going to incorporate is basically showing the response of the Lesquois to seeing that their home theater is finished. So, sort of a lead into that would be if and I'm going to change that again. If you could change the words to right now at the Lesqua Theater, we're about to finish we're about to finish our sound installation, and one of the things that we're doing is a process called. So
Okay.
something to that effect.
Okay.
Okay. What are you working on right now at the Lesqua Theater?
One of the final stages of the Lesqua Theater is the sound system calibration. We're using a system from JBL called Synthesis that has digital equalization. What digital equalization is a process that allows us to monitor the room using a microphone system and a laptop computer with specialized software. The software is designed to measure and monitor various test tones throughout the room seated around the listening position. After we go through the various test tones, we can then look at the actual room response and then fine-tune the system and calibrate it and set that into memory. After that, we then listen to actual DVDs and listen to satellite music, CDs, to hear the responses that the computer has given us. If that's satisfactory, we then set that into memory, and then we're able to hand the theater over to the client as part of the final phase of the project.
Great.
How's that?
Excellent. Third time's the charm.
Yeah.
OK。
あとはいいですか？
あと
That
は
work?
そうね。いいかな。
これで終わりだといいけど、
うん。
いいですか？
今ってこうレスクラートが最終段階に来てて、で明日最終チェックをやる今度最終チェックをやるんだよ、ビデオので細かいチェックの内容とかをちょっと語ってたんですよね。それはもうすごい使いやすいんで。
使いやすい。
はい、
一番最後のが一番使いやすいね。
一番最後のはすごい使いやすい。
って言ってたんだよね今。それは確かだったら OK。
確かです。
OK、
はい、
じゃあそれで
はい
いいんじゃないでしょうか。
はい。
ちょっとプレイステーションなんていう言葉も聞こえたし。
OK。
はい、いいですか？
はい。
はい。OK。 representative when I spoke to him earlier today, so I was going to be calling him back to confirm that, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to get hold of him. But he had recommended a hotel for us. He represents the same building, but that was sort of
最後がなんかちょっと
for us.
そのまま
And I
ずらっと
my own research into days in Inner Harbor. I don't know at all. I was wondering if maybe you could tell me if that's nearby. I don't know how big an area Inner Harbor is. You'd be within a few.
Sally? Can you just answer? Oh no, actually, can you? Sorry. So you want to go ahead? You know? Did like if you like that, so move my shop, so. So go ahead. どうするタイミング的に？
うん、動きそうだと思ったらさっきから出てき
So anytime. One more time. Almost.
Sorry,
It's not my fault. This guy's fault.
No, take four. Take four.
Take four. Okay, okay.
なるほどね。はい。はい。
ちょっと通してあげてください。
Excuse me. Ghost.
電話でもしてれば。
マシューさんはフォンを使って割とこうなんかアクティブに。
あ、それでね、もし受話器を
一生懸命やらせてます。
いきますよ。
はい、皆さん気配を感じてください。
1、2、3。
はい、スタート。
I could use yours too.
いきますよ。
One more pass. Ready, stand by,
Yep. Go.
and action. Camera's coming. No looking at the camera, please. Great.
いいんじゃないですか？今、ふみちゃんと。
Thank you. All right.
Stage right. That Yamaha piece got a scratch on it. Is that something he's going to notice, Brian? Because he's going to be inspecting that equipment like a fucking microscope. Sorry.
No, that's okay. We're not rolling sound.
Right. Don't hold your breath, man.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? No. Integrated unit
Are you on the way out?
to the unit. Right, then we have the other DSS receiver, which is for audio. And he wants to add another one. All right, I will call him and ask him if he wants receivers in any of them. All right, is there anything else that you're aware of? I believe he has something. So there should be something.
That's always a possibility. I don't want you to feel.
All right, so then really,
I just don't want you to feel like, you were slighted. Just so you know.
Yeah,
That is pretty much.
you read my mind.
So what we're going to do is we'll shoot you.
I said George is okay, but the scratch is very.
今どういうふうになってますか？
Definitely. So we're George. Because we have a problem shipping that back. 2009. Basically,
Come on up for a second.
I want to shrink. I want to show the interior dimensions. I would just like to show anything 61 and that's it. They figure out the rest. That's it. These heights are cool. We're showing about what we want to show. We're showing that this is our interior. We're showing that this is minimum interior requirements. Make this spell out. It's interior. Openings are fine.
彼の経歴が長いからここでそれで金曜日にスピーカーのスピーカーをやる人は彼なんで半袖の彼にマイクをつけるのThen that would be a work for us.
Okay.
Now the position's fine.
音はついてるんだ。So as soon as you get that's up there, I'll cue you with. 彼の目線はどこに？
できればね、すいません、それでこうなってるんですよ。見える？
All the equipment that went in one room to assemble the theater. It represents different areas. This projector, for example, goes in the actual theater room itself, and anything encased in this yellow box here actually gets wired into a rack.
I see.
Okay. This part here is the actual touch panel, which is the interface that the client would use. And that interface, in fact, were you talking to Jim earlier?
Yeah, we will be after this.
Okay. I can show you, if you like, I can show you that interface as it relates to this drawing, because that interface is something he has.
Okay. 実は説明して僕のために説明してもらってたんだけど。Are we ready?
Okay.
I know. If you can just start off, yeah, that's good.
Like that. Okay.
And are we rolling?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. First, just say your name so that we know who you are later when we transcribe this.
I'm Joe Baum.
Okay. And can you explain to us what we're looking at and why you would need to do something like this on a CAD system?
Well, this drawing here represents a complete theater that we're doing for a client. It's a block diagram that represents every connection made from one component to the other component. This is physically what the technician would have in the field and would use to assemble the entire system. The reason we'd want it on CAD as opposed to hand drawing it is because many jobs share very common designs, and if I didn't have this on CAD, every time I had a new job, if only 5% of the job changed, I would have to redraw 100% of it as opposed to what I can do on CAD. For example, if I wanted a certain arrangement that details a digital video disc player and maybe a digital satellite system, instead of completely redrawing it from scratch, I can go to a section here that allows me to pick out one of multiple blocks that we've already predefined, for example. And allows me to drop it anywhere on the drawing. What you see here, I just dropped in from scratch. If I would have had to start from ground zero, that drawing there would have taken me an hour. And it just took me about 10 seconds to drop that in there. Same thing applies to everything within the design. If I need a Sony projector, for example, as one of my design elements, I simply go into my blocks, I choose a Sony D50 projector. There it is, drawn with the mounting bracket and ready to be wired and attached to in the block diagram. So more than anything, CAD is a time saver. Anytime you make a change, the amount of time it saves you is immense. When you're first doing a drawing, it might not necessarily be any quicker, but as soon as the client makes one change, the difference between making that change by hand and making that change in CAD is a fraction of the time. Not to mention it's a lot prettier than having erased lines on your change drawing.
いいですか？
はい。
紙の方に行きますか？Okay.
Okay,
OK。
All right then. Sorry to keep you waiting.
that's all right.
Arthur? Okay. So Joe, if you could explain to us what we're looking at, and first tell us that this is these are the plans or whatever you call them for the Lesqua project, and then explain to us what we're looking at.
Okay. This here is a set of plans for Mr. Lesgrott's theater project, and it represents the equipment as it needs to be placed on the job. There's certain acoustical requirements that need to be considered. There's certain distances that need to be considered, projector from the screen. These are all critical dimensions that we really don't have that much leeway. So we put together these technical specifications and then hand them over to the architect. And on a job like this, you may have 3 or 4 subcontractors involved. You might have the system integrator, the architect, you might even have a designer plus the builder. So it's critical that we all get coordinated with this information. So we start with the technical part of it, send that to the architect, who now will take our information and put it into an architectural format. So you can see that these speakers ended up exactly where we specified, and he of course enhanced it with all the design elements. And falling back to what I said earlier, this is a great benefit because when you have 4 contractors working on the job, it's very likely that things will need to be changed. It's very likely that I can submit this to Theo Kalamarakis' company, and they'll say, well, Joe, you know, we really don't have room for a rack as big as you specified, in which case I'll have to go back to this drawing, re-engineer this rack, and resubmit it again. The advantage is, once again, doing an AutoCAD is re-engineering that rack is a 2-minute, 3-minute exercise, as opposed to what it would have taken prior to having AutoCAD.
Excellent.
One of the first designs that I did for it, I mean, obviously, well, just the lights is different, but some of the layout is different. I don't,
Okay. So what I'll do is,
It's been a long day already.
okay, so state your name, please.
Jim Hancock.
Okay. And Jim, can you explain to us what it is we're looking at here on your left?
This is an AMX 10.4-inch color tilt panel that's used as a device to operate the theaters. In this application, it's being used for the Lesgrott's Home Theater. As you can see, it says, "Welcome to the Lesgrott's Home Theater." They have a number of devices that they are going to operate in the theater, and this is the main menu to help drive through the program.
Okay. Can we just try that one more time? It was actually fine. The other main thing that, and this is my fault for not mentioning it, if you could just mention that the fact that this panel is really just a one-touch type system where it integrates all different types of automation, and just talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
So I'm going to start you over one more time. Okay, so Jim, can you explain to us a little bit about what that piece of equipment is on your left?
Sure. This is a AMX 10.4-inch color tilt panel. It's being used here as an application for the Lesgrott's Home Theater. As you can see, it says, "Welcome to Lesgrott's Home Theater." It's a touch-driven panel that merely by touching a button, it performs various amount of functions and everything for the theater to operate.
Okay, great.
Better.
As you'll notice, I'm not responding with any audio
Audio.
cues because my voice can't be on it.
Okay.
So the next question is,
This is already
how
edited.
does all the information get into that piece of, how does all the information get into the AMX?
Okay.
And if you could start with, all the information is loaded into the AMX by.
Okay. Well, how, do I want to start there or I can say engineering hands me drawings and I go from there or something
Yeah, you could do that.
to that effect, and then I create.
So, okay, so the question is, and I'll just ask it now, how does the AMX panel get to its current state?
Okay. Tell me one. Okay, this panel primarily is given to me, a design is handed to me by the engineering department, and I then create and design a layout, which you see here. This is all put together through the means of a touch panel design program, which is on the computer to my right here. This is currently a previous design to what you see here. These programs are all generated by use of a program. I'll just bring up a page of DVD player, which happens to be a pop-up page. These pages are constructed by means of putting together icons, which you can see can be moved around. They also can be made different colors. They also can contain different icons. And by means of doing all of these different approaches, we are able to put together panels that will drive individual devices such as a DVD, a VCR, cable, DSS, whatever the client may have. Basically, once we go through the design and development, it comes down to a finished product such as this. This is something that the client would use, and it's as I said before, a touch-driven program where if the client comes in, all he merely has to do to watch a DVD is just hit the DVD button. The menu appears, and actually the whole program is written where the movie will begin playing. Just by pressing that DVD button, a number of things happen. The curtains will open, the projector will come on, the DVD player will come on, the lights will dim, and the DVD will begin playing. If he wants to watch any other source or anything, if he wants to watch satellite TV, he merely has to hit an icon. That again will switch inputs. It will give him all the functions that he needs on the panel. This client in particular wanted to have movie channels accessible to him. So we made a movie channel button, which when pressed will give him a number of movie channels which he can pick, and merely by pressing a home box button, for instance, it will automatically change to that channel.
Okay, that's great. That's good. どうですか? いいですか? Excellent. Times,
Anytime.
and I'll cue you. Are you comfortable with this?
Just say presented by Sony?
Yes. And
Look
action.
at the camera, and then look at the lens.
Or look at my,
Oh, hang on one second. We gotta. Okay, and action.
presented by Sony.
One more time, please. Oh,
Pres-
hang on. Okay, and action.
presented by Sony.
ちょっと照れくさそうに言ってもらえたりすると、
presented by
そう
Sony.
に言ってほしい。
こうすごく今こうかっこいいから、も
あ
うちょっと
Am I saying it wrong?
なんで言わされちゃってるよ。
なんで俺言わなきゃいけないのとかって感じで
そんな感じ。
それがいい。
あ、めんどくさそうに。
うん。
めんどくさいっていうよりはなんか照れくさい恥ずかしい感じ
それ難しい。
うん
難しいいや、じゃあもうちょっと自信なさそうに言ってくれっていう
You know, that was actually too good.
ニコに
Tell the truth here.
No, I'm serious.
今みたいな雰囲気。
Because they were hoping to get something that was just a little bit more plain Jane. So, and a little bit because you seemed really confident when you said that, and because
Is there anything free in it for me? Come on. Presented by Sony? I mean, I don't know what,
Just try it one more time. See if we get anything different.
you mean not corporate? Non-corporate is,
Sure.
笑い続けながらでいいですよ。
笑える
All right, we'll try it one more time. And action.
Presented by Sony.
Sorry,
No,
we
that was
had-
the
we had
phone.
a Okay, one more time. And, ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
Thank you for putting up with this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
一応3まで。
あ、はい。
はい。
いいじゃない。ありがとうございます。
わざと回してる？なんだかわかんないけど。
Oh, I'm sorry. Who's up first?
Okay, Ida,
何が使うか分かんないもんね。
come and sit here and say presented by Sony.
What did I say?
I'll cue her, hang on.
後ろいい。あ、いい。
かぶってるけど。Sound ready?
そういう感じがいい。
何の音だろうね。
今出てきてたのよかったよね。
OK。
Everyone ready?
Yeah,
Yes? Okay. All I need you to do is when I say action, just look into the camera and say, presented by Sony. You don't have to use your hands like that. Just say, presented by Sony.
And look there.
Into the camera. Until I say cut.
Okay.
All right? Ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
Very good.
Is that okay?
Good. もう一個だけ。
All right, one more time.
ちょっと最初下って最後照れ笑
I know, that's why I made a face, okay.
Presented by Sony.
い。で、
いや、演出はしない。うん。まあ、成り行きでいこう。成り行きでいこう。そう。Okay, one more time. Ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
はい。
Okay, cut.
Lower.
That was great. That's cute. Yeah.
Leave it there, please.
That was.
マルチェロの
Video roll?
やってるね。
マルチェロのストレス回ってる。
Which is?
Video rolling? Sound okay? Okay. All I'm going to do is on action, I'm going to ask you to look into the camera and say presented by Sony in whatever you would like, in whatever way you'd like to say it. Okay?
Great.
Ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
If you could just, until I say cut, just keep
Right.
looking into the
Got
camera.
it.
One more time. Ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
Cut.
なんか、
気楽に言ってもらえるといいんですけどね。
Okay, I'm going to ask you to do it just one more time. If you could just relax a little bit more.
Okay.
Smile.
Okay, ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
3回言っておる。
I'm sorry, one more time. Ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
あ、続けて言ってほしい。
なんか3回ぐらい続けて言うとほぐれるかなと思ったけど。
ちょっとね、
ちょっとほぐれにくいと
ちょっとやめてほしい。やめてほしい。Okay, next victim.
Hey, you know,
Thank you.
大丈夫、まだ3分ぐらい。
結構ね、抵抗気味だから。うん。
あ、オッケーオッケー。
All right, now you've gotten to see the other two, so you, we expect you to be the best.
All right.
Video's rolling? Okay. You know your line, so look into the camera until I say cut. Ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
Okay, one more time, and I'm going to ask you to keep looking into the camera until I say cut.
ちょっと待って。
Now we're just waiting for the...
Hang 1 second for this print to come out.
copied by Hewlett Packard. Printed by Hewlett Packard.
いいね、なんか。
Hey, Tony.
All right, ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to just one more time, try to keep looking into it until I say cut. Ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much for putting up with us.
All right. Yeah.
John, very interesting.
They're asking if you'll say it.
That was the first time, right?
Do you mind?
Yeah, big camera.
Couldn't see. All right. Where did you want me to
In the chair. Okay, so on my cue, look into the camera until I say cut. Ready, guys? And action.
Presented by Sony.
I'm sorry, if you could just keep looking into the camera instead of looking at me. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Ready, and action.
Presented by Sony.
Cut.
Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Okay.